There's something almost magical about stepping into a garden in the early morning. The air cool, the earth still moist with dew, and sunlight gently spilling over leaves. There's a sense of expectation, a quiet anticipation, that something small but remarkable is about to happen. Most people think of vegetables as temporary guests. You plant them, nurture them, harvest them, and then start all over again. But there's a different kind of vegetable, one that behaves more like a fruit tree than a fleeting annual. You plant it once, and it keeps coming back, season after season, quietly rewarding your patience and care. There's a rhythm to them, a consistency, almost meditative, that becomes a companion in your garden life. Once you've experienced it, it's impossible to go back to planting only short-lived crops. These vegetables teach you patience, trust, and the subtle joys of abundance. Take asparagus, for example. I still remember the first row I planted along the edge of my garden. It was a commitment, a slow investment in the future. The first year, I didn't see much, a few tiny shoots, hardly noticeable. I worried, thinking I must have done something wrong. But underneath, the roots were establishing a deep network, quietly preparing for decades of harvests. By the second spring, small green spears started to emerge, fragile yet vibrant. And by the third year, I could finally harvest a generous portion. And now, decades later, those same plants continue to produce with minimal effort. The satisfaction is profound. It's a gentle reminder that patience and care yield rewards far beyond immediate gratification. Asparagus teaches a lesson not just about gardening, but about life, the value of long-term investment and trust in the natural process. Jerusalem artichokes, also known as sunchokes, are another perennial wonder. I planted just a few tubers one year on a whim, and by the next season, they had multiplied underground, spreading like a secret network beneath the soil. Digging them up in autumn is one of the small joys of gardening. Each tuber has a crisp, nutty flavor, and the more you harvest, the more they seem to multiply. Even if left alone, they thrive with little intervention. Their resilience and persistence are inspiring, a plant that quietly asserts its presence and generosity in the garden. I've watched neighbors peek over the fence, curious about the wild patch, and their surprise when I explained that these humble tubers return every year never fails to amuse me. Rhubarb is a bold and beautiful perennial that thrives even in spots where other vegetables struggle. Its large, umbrella-like leaves offer both shade and a sculptural presence, while the stalks produce tart, flavorful harvests year after year. I love planting rhubarb in neglected corners of my garden, where its resilience turns up forgotten space into a thriving green oasis. Each spring, new stalks appear, and there's a quiet joy in harvesting them for pies, jams, or sauces. Rhubarb doesn't demand constant attention. It rewards patience and respect for its rhythm, reminding me that some of the most valuable things grow quietly, steadily, and generously. Malabar spinach is an absolute treasure in summer gardens. Unlike ordinary spinach that bolts under heat, Malabar spinach flourishes, climbing trellises and fences like lush green waterfalls. Its glossy leaves are perfect for salads and stir-fries, and once established, it self-seeds, returning year after year with minimal care. I remember the first time I let it grow across a trellis near my kitchen garden. The sight of its dense, vibrant foliage climbing and twisting was mesmerizing, and the fact that I could harvest leaves throughout the hot months without replanting was revolutionary. Malabar spinach has a way of making summer gardening effortless, yet rewarding. A quiet reminder that abundance can be low maintenance if you choose the right plants. Egyptian spinach, or Molokia, is another resilient perennial that surprises every season. Its tender, nutrient-rich leaves emerge in clusters, and once planted, it often self-seeds in unexpected spots. I once thought a patch had completely disappeared, only to find a small cluster thriving months later. Malokia's persistence is a lesson in trust and patience, demonstrating that the garden often has its own plans that can be more generous than we anticipate. The joy of discovering these volunteers is one of those quiet but profound pleasures that make gardening feel almost magical. Tree collards are extraordinary. Unlike kale, which typically requires annual replanting, tree collards grew tall, woody, and robust, sending up leaves for decades. You harvest a few leaves, and the plant continues to thrive. I often find myself simply walking past them, appreciating their presence. They teach lessons in sustainability, patience, and long-term abundance. I've pruned and harvested them carefully over the years, and each season they return stronger and fuller, as if acknowledging the gentle care I give them. These plants aren't just food sources, they're companions, steady and reliable, a living testament to the rewards of thoughtful gardening. Chaya, known as tree spinach, is a tropical marvel. I remember planting a cutting uncertain of its survival. Within weeks, it took root and began producing large, glossy, nutrient-rich leaves. Its growth is vigorous yet forgiving, thriving with minimal care once established. Chaya demonstrates that sometimes the most rewarding plants are those that grow with their own natural rhythm, giving generously without demanding much. I love harvesting its leaves, using them in soups, stir-fries, or steamed dishes, always grateful for the resilience and generosity this plant offers year after year. Perennial leeks are quietly remarkable. They grow in clumps, multiplying underground each season. I can harvest some without worrying about depleting the patch, leaving enough to continue growing. The satisfaction in watching them expand season after season is profound. It's a reminder that some plants, when left to follow their natural rhythm, are incredibly self-sustaining, providing both abundance and continuity. Perennial leeks feel like old friends in the garden, reliable and generous, always ready when you need them. Chinese artichokes, or crosnets, are another hidden treasure. Their small, spiral-shaped tubers sit just below the soil, waiting to be discovered. Each year they return, crisp and nutty, a reminder that sometimes the garden's rewards are meant to surprise and delight. Digging them up is a little adventure, uncovering treasures planted long ago, and every season they never fail to bring a smile. These tiny tubers teach patience, care, and the joy of discovery, showing that abundance doesn't always announce itself loudly, but rather grows quietly beneath the surface. Tomatillos bring both flavor and excitement. Their small, husk-covered fruits often appear far from the original planting, self-seeding effortlessly. I love the playful unpredictability they introduce to the garden. One season you find them near the beans, the next a new cluster has sprung up by the fence. Their tart, citrusy flavor is perfect for salsas and sauces, and the surprise of discovering them in unexpected spots keeps gardening fresh and exciting. Tomatillos are a reminder that letting nature do a little of the work can bring both delight and abundance. Okra is a tall, sturdy perennial marvel in the right climate. Its flowers are delicate and short-lived, but the pods appear quickly, offering harvest after harvest. Let one pod mature and dry, and it provides seeds for years. I love observing the rhythm of okra, watching flowers bloom, pods form, and seeds develop. It teaches patience and the value of paying attention, a quiet but steady lesson in the rewards of careful observation. Ground cherries are almost enchanting. Their golden fruits are hidden inside paper-like husks, a delightful secret waiting to be discovered. They self-seed easily, popping up in unexpected corners the next season. Digging them up is a little adventure, uncovering treasures planted long ago, and every season, they never failed to bring a smile. These tiny tubers teach patience, care, and the joy of discovery, showing that abundance doesn't always announce itself loudly, but rather grows quietly beneath the surface. Katuk, or sweetleaf, is a tropical perennial that grows like a small shrub. Its leaves taste remarkably like peas and can be harvested repeatedly. Once established, it becomes a constant, generous presence in the garden. Katuk doesn't demand attention, but gives abundantly, a model of quiet generosity. I often harvest its leaves with a smile, grateful for its steady productivity and the ease with which it grows year after year. Moringa, the drumstick tree, is fast-growing, nutritious, and extraordinarily resilient. Leaves, flowers, and pods are edible, and the plant thrives even in difficult conditions. I prune mine multiple times a year, and each time it grows back stronger, more lush, a living lesson in resilience and abundance. Moringa embodies the best. As I continue reflecting on these incredible perennial vegetables, it's amazing to realize how much a garden can transform when you plant once and allow nature to take its course. These aren't just plants, they're companions, teaching patience, generosity, and the joy of sustained abundance. Each plant has its own rhythm, its own personality, and its own way of rewarding care, reminding us that gardening is not just about food, it's about creating a space that nurtures life, including your own. Let's start with a closer look at some of the plants I've already mentioned, diving deeper into their habits and the lessons they impart. Asparagus, for instance, doesn't just produce for years, it transforms a section of your garden into a living investment. The first shoots each spring feel like tiny miracles, emerging from the soil that was untouched for months. I often pause to watch them grow, noticing the subtle changes in their color and shape, appreciating how each spear represents not only food, but also the patience and foresight that went into planting them years ago. There's a certain rhythm in caring for asparagus. You water it lightly, remove weeds, and step back, allowing the plant to develop its underground network. The reward comes later, season after season, and it's one of the most satisfying experiences a gardener can have. Jerusalem artichokes, or sunchokes, are equally fascinating. I planted mine along a fence line, mostly because they promised height and texture, but I quickly discovered they were quietly plotting a takeover. Each year they spread more vigorously, filling corners of the garden I didn't even intend to use. Harvesting them is like digging for hidden treasure. Each tuber offers a crisp, nutty flavor that's unmatched. And the beauty is in their persistence. Even if neglected, they bounce back. I've learned to respect their resilience, giving them space while still enjoying their abundant harvest. Sunchokes are a lesson in letting go and trusting the garden to maintain its balance, rewarding minimal intervention with maximum return. Rhubarb continues to amaze me with its steady, dependable growth. Its large, bold leaves offer shade to nearby plants, and its stalks provide a striking contrast with their vivid reds and greens. I've experimented with rhubarb in different soils and corners, and it always seems to thrive, almost as if it understands where it belongs. Preparing rhubarb for pies or jams each spring has become a ritual, a moment to reflect on the passage of time and the quiet generosity of nature. There's also something deeply satisfying about knowing that the care you put into the soil last year and the year before continues to pay off without needing constant replanting. Malabar spinach remains one of my favorites, especially during the sweltering months of summer. Unlike ordinary spinach, which bolts in heat, Malabar spinach flourishes. I trained it along a trellis near my kitchen garden, and over the years, it has created a dense, vibrant green canopy. Its self-seeding habit means I rarely need to replant, and the leaves are always abundant, tender, and flavorful. The vines twist and climb with an almost playful energy, turning empty garden structures into living walls of greenery. I love reaching up to harvest a handful for a fresh salad or stir-fry, appreciating both the taste and the visual beauty it brings to the garden. Malabar spinach demonstrates how selecting the right plant can transform both the aesthetic and the utility of a garden space. Egyptian spinach, or Molochia, continues to surprise me with its self-seeding nature. I've had patches appear in the most unexpected corners, proving that some of the best garden surprises are entirely unplanned. Molochia's leaves are tender, nutrient-rich, and flavorful, perfect for soups and stews. The plant teaches a lesson in humility. Sometimes the garden provides more than you anticipate, and the joy comes from noticing, appreciating, and making use of these unexpected gifts. I often find myself wandering through the garden, picking leaves for dinner, and marveling at how such small, unassuming plants can create such abundance with little intervention. Tree collards, with their woody stems and perennial growth, are living proof that some vegetables are closer to trees than the typical annuals most gardeners know. Harvesting a few leaves does not hinder their growth. They continue to thrive, season after season. I often take a quiet moment to admire their stature, the way they bend in the wind yet remain firm, and the steady cycle of growth they provide. They feel like reliable friends, steadfast and generous, offering a continuous supply of nutritious leaves without demanding much in return. Chaya, or tree spinach, is another plant that inspires both admiration and gratitude. Its large, glossy leaves are packed with nutrients, and once established, it requires little maintenance. I remember the first cutting I planted, unsure if it would survive, and watching it flourish has been a lesson in trust. Chaya thrives in tropical climates, but adapts well in cooler areas when protected. Harvesting its leaves is a simple pleasure, and the plant's ability to provide continuously over the years reinforces the principle of planting with foresight and patience. Perennial leeks are one of those understated heroes in the garden. They grow in clumps, multiplying underground each year. I can harvest some leaves without worrying about depleting the patch, leaving the rest to continue growing. Over time, these leeks expand, creating a self-sustaining patch that continues producing fresh greens. I've planted them in multiple bed gardens and watched them quietly fill in gaps, proving that the best vegetables don't always demand attention, but continue to give generously. Chinese artichokes or crow's nests are another delightful surprise. The first time I dug up a handful, I felt like a child discovering treasure. Their small, spiral-shaped tubers hide beneath the soil, crisp and nutty, almost as if the earth itself wants to reward the careful gardener. Year after year, these little gems return, multiplying silently underground. Digging for crow's nests has become a cherished ritual in my garden, one that reminds me how rewarding patience and observation can be. Tomatillos bring both utility and charm. Their small, husk-covered fruits often appear far from where I originally planted them, self-seeding effortlessly across the garden. I enjoy the playful unpredictability of tomatillos. Discovering clusters in unexpected spots feels like nature's little surprise. Their tangy, citrusy flavor elevates any salsa or sauce, and their ability to thrive year after year with little intervention makes them invaluable. Watching them spread naturally has reinforced my appreciation for low-maintenance, high-reward plants. Okra, with its towering stalks and delicate flowers, adds drama and consistency to the garden. Once it matures, the pods appear rapidly, offering successive harvests. Dry one pod, and you've got seeds for future seasons. There's a meditative aspect to tending okra. Observing its flowers bloom, pods forming, and seeds developing instills a sense of connection to the life cycles within the garden. It's a lesson in patience, consistency, and reward. Ground cherries are whimsical and enchanting. Their golden fruits, tucked in paper-like husks, create a sense of hidden magic in the garden. Self-seeding with ease, ground cherries can appear in surprising places the following season. Eating them fresh is a burst of sweetness and tanginess, a reminder that the garden often holds surprises that delight the senses. I often leave a few plants in corners simply to watch them grow and marvel at how such simple plants can inspire wonder and curiosity. Katuk or sweetleaf grows like a small shrub, providing tender leaves that taste like peas. Once established, it produces continuously, quietly offering its bounty without needing constant attention. I love walking through the garden, plucking leaves for stir-fries or salads, and appreciating its low-maintenance generosity. Katut embodies the principle that abundance doesn't require effort if you plant the right species for the right environment. Moringa, famously known as the drumstick tree, is fast-growing, resilient, and extraordinarily versatile. Its leaves, pods, and flowers are all edible, and the plant thrives even under challenging conditions. Pruning moringa regularly encourages healthy regrowth, and I often marvel at how it continues to give, season after season. It's a plant that teaches resilience and generosity simultaneously, showing us that nature rewards care and attention, but is also capable of thriving independently. Ceylon spinach is a climbing marvel, spreading across trellises and fences. Its heart-shaped leaves are tender, nutritious, and perfect for fresh consumption or cooking. Watching it grow, climb, and produce reminds me of the beauty of self-sustaining growth. Ceylon spinach fills empty spaces, turning them into lush green walls, and adds an aesthetic quality to the garden while providing continuous food. Perennial kale, such as Dobbinton kale, offers a steady supply of leaves for multiple seasons. Plant it once, and it keeps producing shoots year after year. I harvest leaves, leaving enough for the plant to continue growing, creating a cycle of abundance. Walking onions are fascinating as well. Their tops form bulblets that root themselves, spreading across the garden naturally. They produce flavorful shoots with minimal effort and demonstrate self-propagating growth, one of the most rewarding aspects of perennial gardening. Okinawa spinach, with its deep green and purple leaves, is both visually striking and nutritionally rich. Once established, it grows year after year, requiring little intervention. Good King Henry, an heirloom vegetable, provides shoots that taste like